Hello and a warm welcome to this film, The Three Planes of Consciousness. There will be many of you who are already in the process of awakening the logical lower mind towards embracing the realities of higher mind principles. If you are new or relatively new to evolving the spiritual qualities that are dormant within, then I trust that this video may guide you towards opening the doors into higher mind as a means to transform the lower nature or ego aspect. So let's begin. Many human beings are evolving towards enlightenment, which is why the expansion of consciousness is of key importance if one is to go deeper into one's spiritual development. This video may help you understand more deeply how the three planes of consciousness are interlinked to establish one's enlightenment. The expansion of consciousness is a natural development of the soul's calling. But for this to evolve, the consciousness has to first rise above the limited view that logic has to expanded consciousness. This is the very reason why the human being continues to reincarnate, which is to first rise above the third dimension, lower mind, into the fourth dimension, middle mind, and eventually the fifth dimension, higher mind. When the fifth dimension of consciousness has been established, then the soul does not return to earth under the law of karma, but instead decides to return under the law of service to others and the world in general. Here is my understanding of what the three planes of consciousness are and how they interconnect to create a state of enlightenment. Lower mind. Lower mind emanates from the left hemisphere of the brain and is the densest form of consciousness that resonates on the third dimensional light frequencies that is aligned to the five physical senses. The lower mind has been created to work through the physical light spectrum, through which logic views the physical world in general. The thought patterns of lower mind chiefly resonate on the practical issues of life and are mechanical, evidence-based in its way of working. The survival factor is one of the strongest instincts of mind, as are its feelings towards the natural world. Types of food eaten, politics, religious beliefs, and relationships, which are but a few. The density of lower mind is governed by gravity, which coerces or compels light or photons into forms and activity. This is how the physical eye views the world as being structured and solid. The lower mind is fixed within the boundaries of the physiological forms and all aspects of life on that plane. When an opening of lower mind begins, the two higher minds will automatically begin the process of rewiring the lower mind. This in turn triggers off the transcendental stage of development. One of the main functions of lower mind is to keep one's feet on the ground, or grounding the energy fields and chakras, chiefly through the root chakra, when working with higher vibration during one's spiritual development. This helps to set the foundation that establishes the reality of what one is experiencing. It is important to understand that the consciousness of ego has fixed itself into the low mind because it cannot exist in the domain of middle and higher mind's light frequencies. This is why the ego does all it can to keep you in fear, doubt, and often denial. This is to prevent the consciousness from developing and expanding into the fourth and fifth dimension. For as long as ego consciousness is accepted by the individual, the lower mind will continue to cast a shadow over the intuitive mind in a variety of ways, which are primarily fear-based. This is where humanity's greatest challenge lays, in how to overcome the illusions that ego fear creates. When ego consciousness is recognized, then the journey to transform the conditioning influences that ego has established over lower mind begins. Middle mind. Middle mind resonates on the fourth dimensional consciousness, which corresponds to soul guidance and the spiritual will. The spiritual will is the energy that gives motion to all aspects of the integrated human being, which helps to motivate the curiosity to seek the deeper meaning of life. The ego consciousness creates fear and doubt in order to confuse you about what you feel or are experiencing. The social structures of the societies we live in are flooded by the lower mind with egotistical, materialistic concepts, thus preventing the spiritual development of the right hemisphere. Middle and higher mind understands how lower mind's orientation works, but lower mind at first does not recognize the concepts that the higher mind is revealing to it. At present, a bridge is being built by higher consciousness that crosses the river of thought from the third dimension into the fourth. There is a real battle or struggle taking place between the lower and middle mind, as the ego constantly seeks ways of preventing the middle and higher mind's rewiring logic, which will expand the consciousness and end the ego's influence over lower mind. The fourth plane of thought corresponds to intuitive quality. Intuition is one of the doorways that opens the three higher senses, which is why developing one's intuition is of key importance. The sensitivity of one's perception on this level resonates with the higher frequencies of light. Sometimes, when this level of consciousness is opened, the overactivity of the lower mind's perceptual views can become too much for it to accept, especially at the beginning of its development. It's here that much confusion flows between the two minds, which is chiefly due to the lower mind being conditioned for years with the logical thought patterns and social structures that often feed the ego, such as judgment and anger. These are to a great extent conditioned the lower mind not to accept alternative ways of thinking and living, and often rejects them in a variety of ways. At this point there comes a greater realization that there is a duality between the logical and intuitive sides of the brain. Logic sees things in black and white, right or wrong, which to a great extent is why the ego continues to create separation amongst people and nations, whilst the intuitive is the all-inclusive and holistic. One of the powers behind the middle mind is our feelings. Listening to one's feelings opens the door to intuition, and your intuition is carrying you towards greater awareness. Then there comes a greater realization that there are aspects of you that goes beyond the physical. When you are more open to working with your feelings, you may feel some deep emotional rising. These are the impulses from the higher mind that are seeking ways in which to transform any negativity that may be held there. The transformation of the emotional body is an integral part of raising one's consciousness, because this area needs to be released from the influences of the ego for real change to take place. Wounded parts may come up to show where the dilemmas are. You can transform these energies through meditation to help clear the negative energy by putting more light into the negativity. This will empower and quicken its vibration to create a cleansing through the higher vibration of consciousness. At this stage of one's spiritual development, one can slip in and out of lower and middle mind. But gradually, as the rewiring of the lower mind becomes more established into the middle mind, the natural transformation into higher mind will automatically transcend itself. Higher mind. Higher mind is soul consciousness, where you are integrated with the divine. It's where you actively receive light information that flows into middle mind to transform lower consciousness. Yes, soul consciousness is constantly seeking ways in which to transform the lower mind with the transference of higher mind principles and laws that are at present beyond the comprehension of the lower mind's linear, time and distance views of life. When the higher consciousness is activated, the process of developing the three higher senses, clairvoyance, clairaudience and clairsentience, becomes more active, which will eventually be fully established. Here again, the term density is governed by gravity, which changes light or photons into form or matter, which gives higher consciousness the ability to see abstract energies through the third eye. This higher plane of consciousness is who we truly are, which is not influenced by lower mind, as it is on the fifth dimension, where the laws and forces of gravity are ethereal. This means that the consciousness of higher mind is beyond the influences of lower mind, and is therefore free to travel and explore the world and universe at the same time. It is on this level of consciousness that the three higher senses are fully functional. Whenever you are deep in a meditation, you have surpassed the lower and middle mind's vibration and are on the higher plane of consciousness, which is a state of being both transient and transcendentally orientated. This basically means that you remain present on the earth plane, whilst the higher self, soul consciousness, is able to travel and witness the reality of other dimensions. The whole experience is recorded and held in lower mind because the rewiring is more advanced and can be recalled at any time. On this higher plane of consciousness, you are truly in the heart, and its vibration is felt throughout the body. This is because you have mastered the emotional body, physical body, and logical mind. You have now, to a degree, mastered higher mind principles, which have to be worked on every day in order to maintain its clarity. You may seek help and guidance, but essentially it is your journey, your experience. No one else can do this for you. To summarize, the lower plane of thought is only consciously aware of physical light particles and their relationship to the physical domain. Due to this, its view of the world and universe through linear time, distance and matter. The middle and higher mind resonate with higher light frequencies, which are often referred to by science as invisible light. The spiritual third eye resonates on this level, which gives it the ability to see and connect with the etheric abstract energies and forces. Thank you for watching and listening. Love and light, Ralph Jenkins.